into reality. So it is a very exciting event, I think, and I know the idea is to make this an annual event, this Forum for Innovation in Agriculture, and I think the success of it will lie in what happens after these 2 days are over. Let me just tell you who we are going to hear from in this opening ceremony. We've got Dr. Frank Reiserman, who is the boss, the CEO of CGIAR Consortium. That is a global research partnership which is all about working for a food secure future. We, I think, saw a quick video clip of our speaker following Dr. Reiserman, and that is Dr. Mark Post, who I think came to global fame last summer when he announced the creation of the first, he called it, well, maybe the media called it, a lab burger, meat that was grown in a laboratory using the very latest stem cell technology. So I'm going to be fascinated to hear from him about all of the research work that he is doing to change the way meat is produced and consumed. We're also going to hear from Andras Forgax, who is the CEO of Modern Meadow, and rather like Dr. Post, is absolutely committed to finding new ways of producing not just meat, but in his case, leather products as well. So again, a fundamentally different way of looking at what we've traditionally regarded as the products of the livestock industry, but maybe not in the future. And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very pleased to say that we are going to hear an important message from a man who, frankly, needs no real introduction from me. That is the founder of Microsoft, the biggest philanthropist in the world today. That, of course, is Bill Gates. By video, hear a message from him in just a short while. So lots to look forward to over the next 40 minutes or so. Please join me now in welcoming our first speaker, that is Dr. Frank Reiserman.
Good morning, Your Excellencies, Your Highness, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody will be surprised that in dry areas water is scarce. As a water expert, I've been asked many times if that means that people in dry areas do not have enough water to drink. That is, not enough water for their domestic use. But my answer surprises many people. That in dry areas, in fact, there is plenty of water to drink, to shower, and even to water golf courses. And even if there isn't, the high value of water in these uses means that it is affordable to desalinate. For dry areas, the core problem is that growing food requires much more water than all other uses combined. That's to say, in dry areas, there just isn't enough water to grow food. And desalination for agriculture is not affordable, and at the scale it would require would have significant environmental impacts. So obviously there has been a lot of focus in this region on growing more food with less water, more crop per drop. And many water management innovations have originated in this region. Water harvesting and irrigation have a rich history in the region, from elaborate canal tunnel systems to the irrigation systems that watered the famous hanging gardens of ancient Magno. And modern drip irrigation and the increased reuse of wastewater have been pioneered in this region. But recent attempts to scale that up, to ensure food security domestically through massive investments in irrigation, in Saudi Arabia, for instance, in a wheat program, have been less successful. In Saudi Arabia, massive pumping of groundwater from great depth required a lot of energy, and indeed depleted the groundwater, and that program is now being phased out. In Qatar, I understand The food security strategy has recently also changed from growing fodder domestically with reused wastewater to imports. The complex challenges facing the dry areas will not be solved with one silver bullet or one new technology. They will require an integrated approach involving sustainable natural resources management, crop and livestock genetic improvement, as well as socio-economic innovation. That will enhance the ability of communities in dry areas to increase their livelihoods through a combination of sustainable intensification and diversification of production systems where possible, while in marginal lands with their fragile ecosystems, the strategy should be to aim at production system resilience rather than intensification. The bottom line though, my key message that I'm sure you are aware of, is that in dry countries like Egypt, even with its history of massive investments in irrigation and with access to a generous portion of the River Nile, there simply is not enough water to feed its population. The conclusion is dry areas will be food importers, and governments in the region appear to have accepted that conclusion. So if you have to import food, what can governments do to ensure food security? And massive investments have indeed already been made in at least three types of solutions. First, you can buy farmland elsewhere, particularly in Africa. Investments from this region have acquired tens of thousands of hectares of prime farmland, for instance from companies in the United Arab Emirates, working with the United Arab Emirates government in realizing the strategic food security program. But these greenfield investments are not easy. They've proven problematic in a number of areas and will take time. A second solution is to store large quantities of staple foods to guard against food shortages or price spikes, as proposed right now in Saudi Arabia. But that is a very expensive option, particularly when food is as costly as it is now. And third, as recent as late last year, we read in the newspapers that a number of companies from Gulf states have begun investing heavily in buying up established agri-food businesses in Europe and the US. Even if this